All right, Taberne Talks back for you. Episode 6. Here we go. I am feeling pretty good today because we have a super special guest here today, and we're in a new spot here too. So I think we really are going to enjoy this show because this is a guy that I've known for a long time. All right, I'm going to go back maybe 15 years plus. He's a trooper. He's been on the front line. He's like me, no BS. He goes right for the point, and he's why he's on the show. I think that you guys are really going to enjoy this episode because he's the kind of guy that is going to give it to us straight. He's the first New Jersey realtor that I've had on the show. Okay, so the last 5 have been all Philly realtors because obviously we're in my backyard over here. But when it came to thinking of who I wanted on as my first Jersey guy, of course, his name came to play. So we're talking about Pat Gorman. Of the Gorman Group. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex. Happy to be here.
No, I'm glad you're here. And we're going to take you through, or you're going to take us through what you're seeing out there, right? So the reason I do this every week is I'm trying to really get a point of view of what we're seeing on the street, right? This thing has changed so dramatically this year that, I'm trying to get a real feel from guys like you that are doing it every day in the trenches. But before we go there, tell us a little bit about yourself, when you started, your background, and then we'll start rolling from there.
Awesome. So once again, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I started selling real estate when I was in college. So I was going to Rutgers Camden, and I was already investing in real estate. So I figured it was a good idea to get my license, as it would help me keep my finger on the pulse and help me get deals, and I could also make the commissions, and I did pretty well with it. I started in like 2001, 2002, and I was able to pretty much pay my way through school.
On your own.
On my own. And I was kind of stuck in that middle class trap where I wasn't able to even borrow enough money to go to school, but my parents didn't have excess money to pay for my schooling. So it was a really nice opportunity where, I was just pretty much fresh out of high school, and it was a place where you could come and make real money and still go to school at the same time. And I wanted to finish college, and I didn't do it to the degree that I do it now, but we always had about 5 to 10 deals in process. And I'm sure, as you remember back, before the boom, we'd throw as much against the wall as possible and hope that it would stick, and a lot of it would not stick.
Right. Not that we do that now either, right? I mean,
Of course not. Never, ever.
We don't ever do that.
Ever,
right?
ever.
We try to stay clean now, and those days are way behind us.
For sure.
We hope.
For sure.
Right. So, okay.
So I was good with that. So I had a good friend of mine, I actually started flipping houses with, and his dad owned a brokerage, and I started working for him, and he gave me kind of like a Lincoln lawyer kind of training. I would meet him at his house in the morning, and we would drive around in his Cadillac, and he gave me like a very special kind of one-on-one training where I learned the business, in the trenches, day by day, learning trial by fire. And
not to cut you off, but that's what's called a good mentor.
You're not kidding,
right?
Oh.
So, and I've been saying this every week. A good mentor goes a long way. You got to have a good mentor. You got to have somebody who you can look up to, who you learn the ropes, tells you the rules, the guidelines. You need someone that really will hold your hand in the beginning. If you don't have that, like Pat had, you're gonna have a problem.
You're not kidding, and I'm certain my life would be different without him. And unfortunately, he's not here anymore, and I wish he could be here.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
I'm
to
sorry
see
to
me
hear
now.
that.
But it was awesome, and so eventually I graduated college, and of course I wanted to get a real job with my degree. And a friend of mine was selling packaging in Ohio, and his uncle was the regional manager for the company. So I moved out there and I sold packaging for about 3 years, and my wife was not happy living in the Midwest at all, and we were thinking about having a family, and we ended up moving back to New Jersey, and I moved back to New Jersey right around 2009, 2010, when the whole world pretty much collapsed. So, my full-time job was
remember.
finding a job, right?
Yep.
So, I had a lot of trial and error and failure, and
Yeah.
and the real estate market was tough,
And so let me ask you something. Do you think the real estate market is as tough now as it was when you first started then, or is this a tougher market now or then versus what it is now?
I think it's a tougher market now, but now I have the relationships, and I built the
You
foundation.
have a book of business.
Yeah, I have a book of business. I have a real book of business to sustain me, and the relationships that I built.
Yeah.
And I'm a much more mature person. My work ethic is different. I have a family.
I mean, even listening to this guy speak right now, I can see the maturity of what I've seen from him over the last 10 years. And I'm not lying. Me and him have come far. And that's why I have him here. It's not, we've been through some crazy things when we first started together doing deals. I mean, me and him were gangbusters. Just let's get the deal closed, and what guidelines, right? And what manager and what company, right? It was our own business, our own company. And we really came from nothing. I'm going to say that as truthful. I know I'm not trying to say that to be some type of cool person. That's not what this is about. It's more about having a guy like this to say that you truly did come from nothing in this business in a very hard time and made himself something. And that's where I think I align really good with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Alex. And really, you were the first person that really took a chance on me. I wasn't really doing any real business. I was looking for somebody to help me with marketing and help me get off the ground. There is never a request that I made of you that you haven't said yes immediately. And I always want to make sure I had a deal or two in the hole where you knew,
Sure.
you weren't chasing anything, but you did. You took a chance on me, and that meant a lot, and it was very helpful. I was working on a shoestring budget. I was going to work, but before my kids woke up. I was coming home from work after my kids were already asleep. The times were tough. Money was tough.
Yeah.
And it was a real grind.
And then we turned the corner, right? So you started doing some good business.
We started doing some good. I even remember calling you and saying, Alex, we have 4 settlements tomorrow.
Right.
How are we going to make it? I said, Pat, this is a good problem.
Yeah, it is.
All right. I said, well,
It is.
I hope we have this problem
true.
every day.
Yeah.
Where we have more
Multiple
settlements.
closings where I couldn't be at the closing, right? Because I can't be 2 places at one time.
Absolutely.
I think with realtors and loan officers, if you book multiple closings in one day, it's very tough to be there at the 2 places at the same time, right? So
Certainly.
So you try to go to as many as you can go to show up for guys like you. But you're right. Once you have that many on the board in one day, it started to get tough. But that was a good problem. So
It was a fantastic problem, and my my real estate career really took a turn when I really started focusing more. The other, just to touch real quickly with my mentor, he taught me about dialing for dollars, knocking on doors and making it happen. Right? I think there's a lot of agents out here that are waiting for business to fall in their lap. And don't get me wrong, I think I'm great too, and people should know I'm great, and they should just know I'm the best agent out here, and I'm a pit bull, and I get it done, and everyone should just call me. Why would anyone call anyone other than me? You'd be crazy not to call me.
I think like that every day. I still do.
I
know everybody's laughing. Whoever's watching this right now, right? So, because that's not an ego problem, okay? That's called I put in the work like he does, right?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
isn't everybody calling me? Why isn't everybody coming to me? Like you start to think to yourself, I feel like I should be the best one on the street because I put my dues in and I worked hard. And, if they only knew me
Right.
and knew how I worked,
Right.
I would get the deal.
Absolutely. And if they did, if they knew you, you would. You
Right.
would. And
Right.
if they knew the lengths you went to, and the integrity that goes into the deals. There's not a lot of agents where things go wrong. It's not even your fault, and you're like, no, what, Pat, I'm gonna make it work, no matter what it takes. Whether it's losing money and I'm not saying Alex is out here to lose money, but Alex will
But
do.
unfortunately, that is the name of the game.
It happens.
You win some, you lose some. I say that to the new loan officers that come on with me or want to talk about coming on the Taberne group team, or maybe they just want to do their own thing and not come on a team. Whatever it may be, they may just ask my opinion or my advice. My advice is you win some, you lose some, right? You know how many I lost before I won? You know how many deals I still lose a month where I go in the backyard of my house or in the street and yell as loud as I can yell and people think something's wrong with me? I mean, that's, it's true. I mean, it's embarrassing that I still act like that after 25 years, but I still take it personal when I lose a deal. I take it personal that we couldn't do it, that I lost one when I should have won that one.
Absolutely. And when you put your heart and soul into your work, it's really hard not to take it personally.
Yeah.
And, I try really hard not to take it personally. And if you really take all these things personally, you'll lose your mind. You really will. You lose your mind. It affects the way you parent. It affects the way you treat, you react with your spouse or, your friends, your coworkers. And, sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt. But, and also it's not all about the money. It really was a point where I was like, I'm going to help as many people as I can help. And when I really took on that mentality and really took it into my heart, the business just started
taking off. Right?
Taking off.
It's
right?
like you can't get away from it then.
Right.
The business takes off to a point where you're almost like, I can't believe this.
Right.
Like how did this happen?
Right. Almost like
why am I exploding?
Right.
Like I didn't do anything different.
But all of a sudden,
but it just doesn't stop.
Right? Now it's happening.
I know what you're saying. So
for sure, and it's a wonderful business to be in, and we're just now starting to kind of separate into divisions where I am very investor heavy, and but I feel as if investment deals are more complex than your typical retail deal.
Correct.
And I feel as if your normal seller looking to sell a home, your normal buyer looking to buy a home to live in, is a pretty simple process that if you know what you're doing, you can streamline it.
Yeah.
You can avoid your pitfalls as best as possible. You educate your buyer and educate your seller, so
I think your listings, so Pat's listings have gone up dramatically. I mean, I think before the show, he was telling me that he has, over 50 some listings over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
That is, kudos to you and amazing numbers to do in a market that most realtors are telling me that they don't have anything, right? So for those types of listings, numbers to get are just amazing. So, how does one do that right now in this market? I guess that I don't know.
And I briefly told you before the show, I have a fair amount of clients who are realtors themselves, but they're also investors, and I think they find that their time is best served finding deals and working their flips and staying in their lane, and they hire me to do what I do best, which is selling properties for top dollar. And I'm really good at negotiating and getting the deal done, and they have confidence in me. They don't even have to think about it, worry about it. They know it. I'm on top of it.
They know you're going to get the deal done.
I'm going to get the deal done.
That's what it's about. Like everybody asks, what's the magic bullet, Alex? Get the deal done.
Right.
That's it.
Work hard.
Right. Work hard and get the deal done. And if you can't get it done yourself, use your contacts, right? Use people who can get it done. Listen, I've lost a lot of deals, right? But I know a lot of contacts in the business. I know a lot of people that can bail me out in other companies that may be able to do something that I can't do. Right?
Absolutely.
So, and I'm sure, on your side, it stinks sometimes to see that a loan officer loses a deal and then it has to give it to another loan officer because it may make everybody's reputation somewhat look bad. But in the end, like you said, the deal's got to close.
Right.
Right? You got to get it to closing. And that's the bottom line.
You have to, and you have to, you're leveraging other people, what people
Correct.
do best. And we stay in our own lane. We do what we do best.
Yeah.
And we try to keep knocking it out of the park. And, there's really only so many investors. I typically, I'm a South Jersey guy. And there's not there's only so many guys out here that have 50, 100, 200, 500, 700,000, 2,000 homes. And my name started spreading throughout that community like wildfire. And especially even during COVID, where the tenant landlord laws were so tough, I would come in as a unbiased, an impartial party where I could talk to the tenant and work it out,
Yeah.
work it out to
Yeah.
where we could make it happen, and we could hopefully get that tenant into another property or just somewhere other than there, so that we could sell it. And I'm really, really good at
So
that.
Pat, tell us, listen, I work with a lot of newer realtors, okay? I seem to be picking up a lot of newer realtors that are just getting in the business. They need a good loan officer, right? Because I hate to say the quality of loan officers is unfortunately gone down. And I'm not putting people down, but I just think that that's what I'm seeing before my eyes. The work's not being done, like you said. So, and new realtors are getting in, and no one's really telling them the guidelines. They're not getting any training. They're sending clients to us. They don't even know if they're, what to begin, how they get qualified, or what they got to do. So, as a new realtor, what are some of your tips right now? Do you think you could tell them? Because I'm being asked this all day. What they asked me in the specific question that I want you to answer is, Alex, what you work with all these big realtors. Can you tell us what they think that we should be? What should I be doing right now to, succeed? What do I need to do in order to make it through this market? And what are they doing that I'm not doing?
Absolutely. So I think I have a couple really important things, and there is no magic bullet, right? The magic bullet is work, work, work. But I think that reaching out to your sphere, putting your ego aside. My buddy George Kelly always talks about amigo or owego, and you really have to put yourself out there, let people know that you're in the business. And, chances are that the people that know you and like you and trust you,
Yeah.
those are the people that are going to give you a shot.
Right.
And when you finally get some business, leverage it. You got a listing, knock on the doors, 5 to the left, 5 to the right, 10 across, 10 behind. Do some mailers. You can do you can reach a ton of people with basically no money. Find a great lender, such as Alex, that, somebody that will give you a little bit of guidance and help you get through it. And relationships, I can't stress enough. And it's not always quantity, it's the quality. You want quality relationships. You want people to know what you're doing. I think social media, I don't leverage it nearly as much as I need to be leveraging it. I'm trying to do it more.
Yeah.
But doing some little videos, and I can't tell you the amount of agents. One nice thing about coming to Keller Williams is they really teach. This is a business, right? This isn't a job. We're business owners, so it's nice to be able to see agents, especially new agents, getting some training on running a business, how to run a business, what it takes to run a business, and dialing, right? Like I know agents that do 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year. And guess what they do every day between 9 and 12? Not at night, not at dinner time, every day 9 to 12. Their cell phone is off, they have the headset on, and they're
Just
dialing for dollars, right? Dialing for dollars. And they're not above it.
Right.
Nobody
They're doing
is.
the work.
They're doing the work. They're putting in the work. And that's what no one sees. They see the awards and they, why isn't that me? It's not you because you're not putting in the work.
Right.
And you always have to consistently put in the work. So
I like it. I like it.
Those would be my biggest tips.
You hit it right on the nose there. And I wanted to touch on something on this episode. It's something, if you follow me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, or wherever you follow me, communication, okay? Communication is a real problem right now. Guys, listen, I'm serious, and I'm getting, every day I feel myself shouting out loud because it's just so bad. right? I'll yell it to the loan officers I work with. I'll yell it to my processor. I'll yell it to the owner of Green Tree that the communication just stinks on the street. Not with those guys. I work for a great company. I have a great processor, Gina, who I've been working with for 15, 20 years now.
It's amazing.
Good people in my company. The problem is communication. Listen, if you get a text message, I don't mean to respond in 32 seconds, okay? I'm old school, right? I respond in 32 seconds because I'm an old guy, right? And I don't care what you say I am because I respond in 32 seconds, okay? But if you don't respond in 4 or 5, 6 hours or 2 days later, we got a problem. Especially if you're buying a house. Now, if we're talking about what you're eating for breakfast or how's the weather, don't respond, whatever. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But if we're talking about buying a $500,000 house that we have to close on in 2 weeks from now,
Right.
and we got deadlines, I got commitment dates to hit, I got closing dates to hit, I have answers to give to you, I have answers to give to the listing agent, I have answers to give to everybody.
Right.
And if we fail on those deadlines, that what me and Pat live on every day, we lose, right?
Absolutely.
And you gotta communicate. If you get a text message from your loan officer or an email from your loan officer or a phone call, which is amazing nowadays to get a phone call from
You're not
anybody.
kidding.
But if you do, you gotta respond.
Am
I right?
And I am shocked. So I will come in the morning and we'll do our morning huddle and we'll look at the offers. And I may have gotten 8 offers the night before, and not one of the agents called me. Not one of the loan officers called me. No one called. They email in the offer, no text, no call, no
Nothing.
anything. They didn't
Nothing.
take the opportunity to call me, say, hi, my name is this. I have a buyer. We're putting in an offer on this house. They're qualified. Even just an opportunity to call me, maybe build a little bit of a relationship. I can't tell you the amount of deals where I've gotten offers accepted for my buyer for a lower price because they knew me. They knew I was going to get it done. I've gotten tons of deals where they just knew Alex and they knew Alex was going to get it done. So nothing other than Alex's reputation got me the deal. They know he's a local guy. He's on top of it. He's going to get it done. And my support staff spends an absurd amount of time following up on lousy lenders, lousy title, lousy agents, and communication. Like you said, shit happens. Unfortunately, no one likes to give bad news, but you got to give it sooner than later.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going with bad, but it's almost like
I'm saying we need a pay stub. All right, we need a bank statement. It's not even bad news here.
Right,
It's just it's
right.
basic.
Right.
I need a pay stub.
Right.
Not
right.
3 days from now. What? Where were you? Well, you were busy. And the new line that I've been getting a lot is it's buried in my text messages, or it's buried in my email, or what do you mean buried? Listen, let me explain something to you. I'm buried all day, okay? I'm buried from the minute I wake up in the morning, ask my wife, to the minute I go to sleep. I don't stop. I mean, that thing just blows up, that phone, from text message to email to, I am buried, okay? But guess what? I still respond. And you know I do.
Absolutely.
That's
100%.
it. You got it. I'm not saying in the first 30 seconds. I'm just saying politely that day,
Right.
if you can.
Right. And I think a lot of, even veteran agents, getting, when you don't carry a lot of listings, especially in today, not necessarily maybe this month, but even, over the past couple of years, you're getting 20, 30 offers on a property and putting together spreadsheets and trying to call all these agents back and filtering through all this stuff. I think the agents that weren't used to that were just shocked, and they would just shut down. They were frazzled. They're freaking out. But those are the times to implement some systems, implement some discipline and set the time aside because you got to communicate.
Yeah.
If you want to eat in this business,
You have to
got to communicate.
No doubt about it. Unfortunately, a lot of deals have died because people never responded in a timely manner, and we missed the dates that we needed to hit. And of course, we get blamed for that, which I hate to say, but you really have to. My message tonight, and Pat's message, you can back me up on that, is you got to communicate. Let me ask you a question. A loan officer calls you. Okay, so the offer goes in. I'm the loan officer on the other side. You're the listing agent, right? This is something that newer loan officers should be listening to right now as I say this. would you rather me text you and say, hey, Pat, I have John Johnson or John Smith approved on this loan. I checked his credit, or would you rather me call him? Because sometimes I think if you call the listing agent, they really don't want to talk to you, right? They're busy. They got a lot going on. Yeah, that's great, Alex. Send me an email, or you could have sent me a text. What's better?
I'm old. I want a phone call personally. Me.
Okay.
But I think it's not a terrible idea to send a text and say, hey,
Yep.
I'm available for a phone call if you like, but I'm here to tell you I represent this guy. He's great. Debt to income's in, all the paperwork's in. All we need is an address. We're going, throw it on the application.
So if I call you and say for 30 seconds, hey, Pat, I've got this guy checked out. We're good to go. You're not going to be annoyed.
Absolutely. I love it. And even my sellers love it, right? Like I have a lot of sellers that ask me, did the agent call you? Did the mortgage rep call you? Or do you know them? Are they good? Do they respond?
Now, what if you know the company name, but you don't know the loan officer? You still feel good about the company?
I feel better about it. I'll say I know the company. I'm pretty. They got a good underwriting staff. They got good appraiser relations.
Good.
They got good systems in place. I get updates. They keep me apprised. I know the owner. He's rock solid. This should be a relatively good deal. And we'll take less money. We'll take less money every day of the week for something that's going to close.
And it's going to get to the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so Pat, we're heading into 2024, right?
Yes.
It's a big year coming up. Rates have already begun to come down. I'm going to say that a lot slower. Rates have started to come down. Don't start blowing my phone up right now. I'm not picking up, all right? I'm on my show.
Right.
I can't do your refi right now, all right? But I still feel that 2024, I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling like we saw the bottom, right? We saw a lot of pain here this year. A lot of loan officers got out of the business, unfortunately. A lot of my friends, a lot of realtor friends I've made over years and years, right? People like you that are getting out of the business or got out of the business. It feels like the pandemic, like we lost a lot of people. It just cleaned house in the country.
Certainly.
And but I think we saw the bottom here, and we're heading into the 2024. Rates, will come down. I don't know what the number is. Like I said, don't call me right now. I don't know yet, but they will come down, and we will see more houses hitting the market because Pat's already got 50 of them that just hit the market, right? And he's going to get a 50 more another 2 weeks from now. And then when the rates go down into the sixes, he's going to get 100, right? And then we're going to be blowing up. But I'm going to stop talking because I want to know what happens in 2024. What do you think?
So I think rates are going to come down, and I think we're going to see another hectic market. I can't really see it, and barring some kind of crazy thing happening in the world, I really think we're going to have an aggressive winter and an aggressive spring. I have a lot of good listings too. Houses, I put like a good 4 or 5 nice flips on. One in Williamstown, one in Barrington, one in Pennsauken, one in Oak Glen, one in Cherry Hill.
All right, quit showing off now. All right?
but I was expecting my show, so I have my little showing time thing, and even though we have to follow up on everything, I've been waiting to crack 100, and I've gotten over like 52 showings in my showing time at once. But we're down to like 12. We were down 12, 11, 12.
Everybody saw the bottom.
But last week, as of like last Thursday, it started spiking up. So even just with that little tick down in rates, the buyers are coming back out, and in the midst of the holiday season. And
you think we'll have a big spring market? Will it be back to some of what we used to know?
I think so. And I hope so. We are really ramping up, and we're really bringing some new buyers. That's
what I asked you next. Like, what are we doing with your team? Because it used to be just Pat Gorman, right?
It was,
and then it was Pat and his wife Christine's name, right? So
yes.
It was Pat and Christine Gorman,
right?
Which I said, he's expanding. He's got his wife, which was awesome.
It was awesome.
Now the red carpet's out, right? And we see the Gorman Group has come out, which is. He's taking it to the next level, which I applaud because no one takes it to the next level in one of the worst markets, right? So he's expanding in a bad market, kind of like the Taberne Group. I'm starting to expand now again as we're doing the podcast, and we're going to start building a team again. Like you got to expand in this kind of market, right?
Absolutely.
So you're building the Gorman Group, and what's the plans there?
And we're really doubling down. We're doubling down on marketing and all across the board. And I really didn't realize how much time and effort it took in growing a team, and the risks and liabilities of having agents working for you that may end up tarnishing your name. And you really have to be careful who you bring onto your team, having the business to sustain them, but more importantly, having the time and to dedicate to training them correctly, making sure that they're doing things the right way. Because if you're not going to do it the right way, just stay a solo agent, I think everybody sees people, you see so many people starting their own groups, and agents get over 3 million or 5 million and they think it's the time to start a group. Of course, what's the next step, start a group, but it's a lot of responsibility, as you well know. And
I know.
It's no
It's not
joke.
all that it's cracked up to be.
It's really not. So, getting that leverage in place and setting up your support staff and making sure, you have, your marketing plans in place. And I really had no idea how much time the video marketing took. I mean, it takes an insane amount of time.
It's funny that you talk about the video marketing. So Pat, we go on Facebook and Instagram a lot now, and I see video after video that he's putting up, right? And this is not a market that me and him are really keen to. I mean, we come from an old school market where you're right. It was just mailings, right? It was just knocking on the door. It was a phone call. It was maybe an email, if we were even in that time.
Right.
It was not making videos and podcasts and doing all this AI stuff and chat GPT and all this crazy stuff that they're doing nowadays, right? It's a whole different world. But I see you video marketing big time. Almost every day now.
Yeah, and we're trying. I was trying to do. I had a goal of doing a video a day. A couple of agents, younger agents, I saw them doing video marketing, and I always prided myself. No matter what I was selling or listing, I don't care if it's a $10,000 lot. I'm doing professional photos, and I really prided myself with that. But I think the video, getting a videographer and doing, that marketing on social media is huge, and not to leverage social media, you have to be insane. And even just people reaching out, hey, Pat, the video looks great. And, my cousin, my uncle, my brother, they're looking to do this, or they need help with this, or, I'm hearing from so many people, and it's nice to hear from them. And it's driving business, almost instantaneously. And I enjoy it. But it is very time consuming, and it is a lot of work. And it takes away, fortunately or unfortunately, I do a high volume, a little bit, high transaction, a little bit lower price points. We're getting our price points coming up with these portfolios and whatnot. But, I need to be very efficient in what I do. We don't have any time to mess around. So I love it. It's time consuming,
especially when you're doing high volume.
Absolutely.
When you're doing high volume, you gotta be able to manage it. I've learned that the hard way.
And you guys are volume. I mean, that's your name of the game. You're volume driven.
As a loan officer, you have to be volume driven. Unless you're in like Los Angeles, California, and you're doing $3 million deals every single deal, right? Then maybe you don't have to do high volume.
Right.
But when you're in Philly and Jersey, and our volume amounts are not tremendous. They're bigger than they were, because the market's a lot higher. So it's easier to do a $400,000 or $500,000 deal now versus what it was 5 years ago, right? Because everything's so high now. But we're about volume, and the way to do volume is to be extremely efficient, something I'm still learning after 25 years. I'm not perfect. I mess up every day, right? We make mistakes. We go 100 miles an hour when I probably should be going 80, but that is a good thing, because if I wasn't, that's me. You know? So that's where I came from. That's how I was built. So in order to tone it down, it gets a little bit tough, but you got to manage it. Because if you want to do 15 or 20 deals a month, you better have a business plan in order to do that.
Absolutely.
You better have a good team like you have.
100%.
A wife behind you. And you have assistant now, right?
Yeah. So I just hired a new assistant. She's been with us. She started at the end of September. We're thrilled. She's a rock star. I don't know what I would do without her actually right now, but she's really
that is awesome to hear.
She's
it
brought
really
a
is.
she's brought a really cool
I could see the relief in your face.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Really? I mean, it was.
It's like you just did a shot of something. I mean, it just went to your brain.
We were drowning. We were drowning in work, and we needed help. And it's hard. It's hard, as you know. It's hard to find good help right now. And I was really fortunate. A friend of mine, his fiance needed work. And she came on board and she hit the ground running. She's got great work ethic. She's got experience in the game.
Can I ask you what kind of older,
Sure.
younger,
Younger,
young.
almost so young. I was nervous.
Really?
Yeah, young, and she.
It's very tough to find.
Yeah, young and reserved, and my, if you see. I should start doing videos of as you know, in your office, our office gets hectic, right? Like it's mayhem, right? It's mayhem.
You can come here anytime. Mi casa, su casa, right? That's it.
Right, mayhem behind the scenes, but she handles it like a champ. And me being able to be out there doing what I do best, which is working deals, and
how long did you take to find a person like that?
Years.
Right.
Years.
Yeah.
Years and years and years.
I know.
And we're thrilled, and it's been able to, and I'm so much happier because I get to focus on what I get to do best.
Yep.
And I really feel like some of my sellers, especially, like I talk to a lot of my clients every day. We almost do like.
And you can do so much more business.
Oh
now.
my God!
It frees you up to bring more in.
Right.
Right. That's the point of an assistant, guys. An assistant isn't to go pick your laundry up or go, wash your car or go get your lunch or, hang out and have a few beers with in the afternoon because you get bored. That's not an assistant. An assistant, right? And it's true. I mean, an assistant is a person who helps you bring your business to the next level. Right. I learned that a long time ago. With Gina in the beginning, I needed a good assistant. I found one, and it took my business to the next level.
You have a rock star.
But it took a long time to find that.
Right.
But once I got that, then you felt like you can take on the world.
Right.
You go out and you attack the business.
Right.
Because you got somebody in the back end who's got your back.
Right.
Who's going to make sure that the deals are closing.
Absolutely.
And that's what you have right now.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the people who are successful salespeople are a little ADD'd out, right? But and she gently.
We all are.
And she gently.
You don't have ADD in this business. Something's wrong with you. I say two things in this business. You have to have ADD and you have to drink alcohol. Because if you don't do one or the other or both, you have a problem.
It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Chances are, I'm sure there's an exception to every rule, but and really,
find me that exception. I don't know.
100%.
All right, go ahead.
And she gently nudges me in the right direction. Correct. Like, Pat, we got phone calls to make. Pat, we got to do this. Pat, what about that? Pat, what about that?
Yeah.
And it really keeps me on task. And we have a lot of balls in the air. And we're getting her a VA. We're going to bring on someone else. And
are you expanding markets? We're going to stay in the.
We're going to expand. We're going to expand markets.
Primarily, what? Burlington County or Camden County, or where are you? I'm sorry.
So I think I'm actually going to come over the bridge.
You're going to come to Philly.
I'm going to come to Philly. I think it'd be crazy not to, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to come over the bridge and we're going to make it happen.
Let's take it on, man.
We're taking it on.
Woo. Down Broad Street.
Right down Broad Street.
The throat. All right.
I'm excited. And, we're going to raise the price points a little bit.
Let's do this.
It's time to get the Philly market going.
All right.
And I think it's only natural for me to pop right over the bridge. I'm
just
I'm
tell
really
me the difference
excited.
with the Jersey market right now. Most of my loan officers that I know and realtors that I know are in Jersey, although I've begun to build my business over the last 5 to 10 years here in Philly. I've been in Philly for 20 years, but I really never built my business here as much as I've been doing it over the last 5 and 10 years. But Jersey's a different market, right, than it is here.
Absolutely.
Do you find it more? Why would you want to expand here, I guess?
I think so. I dominate the Camden market, and we have a retail division, and we have an.
And he's the
investment
only
division.
guy that does dominate the Camden market.
So and I carry, depending on the quarter, somewhere between sometimes 28%, sometimes 18%, sometimes 28%. Some months we're 32% of the market. Some weeks we put out 70% of the listings, and I mean I get call-ins. We get call-in listings every week. Who is this guy? How did he do this? They call me. And that's with $0 in marketing, zero. And it's a special kind of thing. So for a while I was worried about getting stigmatized, because obviously we still love, I grew up in Cherry Hill. A lot of my friends are in Cherry Hill. I just moved out of Collingswood, and we love selling houses in Haddonfield and Collingswood and Cherry Hill and Voorhees and Marlton.
We did a lot of Cherry Hill. Me and you did a lot of Cherry Hill together.
Absolutely.
We did a lot of Haddonfield together too.
100%. And it's nice to do those higher price points. But I feel like you have to do it all. And for a while there, I didn't feel like I was an expert in Philadelphia, and I don't really feel like I should take on the job if I'm not an expert. But I'm talking to a couple of guys that are doing real business out here, and they're like, "Look, Pat, if you can learn these markets, you can do the Philly market
agree.
without a doubt.
I agree.
Let's learn it. Let's knock it out. Let's get it going." And as all realtors, all loan officers are not created equally, and Philadelphia needs some more really great agents. So
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
excited.
agree. I think that if you would come over here, I would love it. Not that I don't deal with good agents over here. I
Certainly.
do. I mean, but it's always good to get quality, like you said, over quantity.
Right.
And it's tough to find good agents too. I mean, you can get 100 agents in an office, but how many of them are really worth anything?
Right.
We know that because we see the numbers. We do the work with them. We know who does what, and it's few and far between.
And you got to you got to keep your business diversified, right? You have to be trying to pull in income any which way you can, especially in these tougher markets. And I don't think there's a lot of agents out here that can say they're growing the way that we've been growing through such a difficult market. And we're pumping out real listings, quality listings, and rocking them out. So and it's a true testament.
So 1 year from now, where's Pat Gorman going to be?
I would really like to have 20 solid agents. 12,
You're kidding
20,
me.
No, yeah,
Wow.
no. I would like to really have 20
love
solid
it.
agents. We have 3 or 4 coming on next week.
You do want to get that big.
I do. I think it would be great. And I if we can't, I don't want to grow too fast. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like we have the infrastructure to support it. We have the budget to support it. We have we know the people to support it. And if it makes sense, it makes dollars. We're going to make it happen. So if we can find the talent, we're going to make it happen without a doubt.
Good. So 1 year from now, 20 agents. I'm on board with that. That is that's music to every loan officer's ears that is listening. But you don't hear many people saying that. I mean, I've been doing these interviews, and I don't think anybody's told me that. So that's great news. How about buyers? So you're seeing buyers get into this crazy market, and what kind of mistakes are you seeing that they're making that they shouldn't be making in order to get an accepted offer? I mean, you coach these people every day. I coach them every day too. I mean, I coach buyers to check their credit before they see what's on the credit even before they approach me. Make sure their income's in line, get their W-2s and pay stubs in line, get their life in line, right? Before they apply.
100%. And we still get so many leads that they want to see the house. They don't want to get pre-qual. They don't want to come in for a consultation. They just want to go look at houses, and you're 100% right. And getting with a local loan officer. If you I've never seen a deal that you haven't matched or beat. So if you can get the same deal from somebody that's going to answer their phone and get the job done, you'd be insane not to take advantage of that. And even like I see a lot of buyers, if they're not willing to pay full price, they're not going to look at the house. The market has shifted a little bit. So just because you're not willing to pay full price doesn't mean you shouldn't go take a look and try to take a lower stab at it. And we're even we're seeing sellers accept offers with seller concessions,
Which is crazy,
right? And I'm getting repair request lists. I saw a repair request list the other day. It made me want to throw up. I forgot even what it was like to deal with those silly things. But It's
Fun, I know.
you can make it happen now. So get out there, take a shot at it, and get with a local lender that's going to help you.
You know,
Get
and
the deal done.
watch the loans that you're being approved for out there. You know, listen, I keep hearing grant. Got to get a grant. Got to get a grant. Got to get a grant. Okay?
Right.
Grants are nice, right? So if you get a grant, it's money from the state that's given to you to help towards your down payment and closing costs. What's not being told, and I'm going to give you the dirty truth, is that not every loan is approved to get a grant, right? There are guidelines in order to get a grant. Okay, the loan is sent to the state. The state reviews the loan, and then they say yes or no. You know, we're going to give them the grant, or we're not going to give them the grant. And unfortunately, I've seen some heartbreak. You know, more heartbreak than I'd like to see. Okay. And unfortunately, there's lenders on the street that are saying, yeah. I'll get you a grant, knowing that you won't approve for the grant to begin with.
Right.
Because you know your guidelines as a loan officer, you should know your guidelines up front. So you're giving false hope to people to say, you're going to get a grant. And then they go in, they're all excited because they're thinking they're going to get $10,000. You know they're not going to get it.
Right.
3 weeks later, you call them and say, you know what? You can't get the grant. You're declined from the state. You got to go do a regular FHA loan. And it's 1 week before closing now.
Right. Absolutely. And there's not a lot of guys that can close it in a week like you can when we have to.
Right. And we don't want to practice that.
No, we don't want to practice it. But it's amazing that you can do that. But and I'm here to tell you guys, if I have 5 offers and 4 of them are grants and 1 is not, you better believe which one's getting picked. It's not the grant.
Can you say that again?
It's not.
You're
the
not
grant.
going to take the grant?
It's not the grant.
What?
We're not going to take the grant.
This is why you're coming to Philly.
Because and it's just another condition that we have to deal with, another contingency that we have to worry about. It's more time, it's more headache, it's more worry, and even your typical New Jersey grant. These banks aren't stupid. I know they're subsidized, but there's tweaks to these things here, guys. Like there's a bump in the interest rate sometimes. There's you got to repay the loan, and I'm sure there are some grants out there that are pretty cool, but you don't always qualify for it, and you're going to eat it you may not even get the house.
Yeah.
So what good is a grant if you're not going to get the house to begin with? And you may have to pay an extra $20,000-$30,000 in offering to get $10,000.
It's insane, and it's a shame because now listen, if you qualify for it, and I know that you truly can get it, okay, fine.
Sure.
But if you're in a battle between 5 other people in a house, you're right. You may be qualified for it, but you're not going to get an accepted offer because you're up against 5 other people who are putting 20% down.
Right.
Or cash.
Right. And if you're not in a position where you can't put 3.5% down, maybe it's not time for you to buy a home.
I just can't believe you even said that.
Maybe it's not time for you to buy a home, right? Like you need a little bit of reserves, right?
This is making me feel really warm inside, that you're saying these things. You know why? Because I say that every week. If you're not in a position to put anything down, 0, and you have $0 in the bank, maybe you should step back and just think about, should I be buying a home right now to begin with?
Right.
It's time to sit back and put in some savings away.
Right.
Put a little money on the side every paycheck. Open a 401k and put a little money in there. See if the company has some type of specialty savings program where you could push $100 a month in there, and then by 12 months you have $1,200, or maybe even double. You have $2,500, whatever it may be. $0 is not. You're not entitled to get a mortgage just because everybody else is getting a mortgage. Right?
Absolutely.
There are
what
guidelines.
happens when your heater breaks? What happens when you need a new roof, right? Guys,
no
don't
money.
get me wrong. I'm going to want to buy your distressed home for pennies on the dollar. But maybe you should keep renting for a little bit. It's not the worst idea. Until you're ready. And look, I've done a lot of stupid things in my life, and I wasn't ready to do certain things. But sometimes you need to take a hard look in the mirror and say, you know what? When I have, maybe you can have 10 grand and still take the grant. But why not take a step back, put a little bit of a cushion aside, and then reevaluate? Because home ownership is a responsibility.
Sure,
it's a responsibility, and it can hurt you and it can break you if you're not ready. So make sure
that
you're
they
ready.
look at, and this is a tip for anyone watching this. Do you know that they look at your bank account to see how much money you actually have in the bank. And, let's say you have $30, $40, $50,000 sitting in your bank account, but you're asking for a $10,000 grant. Does this make sense?
Right, right.
They're going to say, well, why are we giving this guy $10,000 grant? He's got $50,000 sitting in his bank account.
Right.
Like, you got to think to yourself, well, I'm a first-time buyer, so I'm entitled. I understand, but they're still going to look at that. And they may find a way for you not to qualify because they know you got the money in there.
Right. And why not get rid of the PMI? Why not put 20%
money
down, right? Put it down, get a better interest rate, buy your rate down a little bit. No PMI is huge. I couldn't see myself buying a house any other way than 20% down, conventional. And there's a good chance that I'm going to be able to buy that home for significantly less money.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be a better buyer with better terms that's more likely to close. And at the end of the day, I think that's a better position. Don't get me wrong. If you don't have any money and you have to do the grant, and there are exceptions to every rule, but I really think you should have a little bit of reserves before you go and buy a home.
Great. So listen, in closing here, I could probably go on all day with this guy. I mean, this is like, it doesn't even feel like, it feels like the show didn't even start here. Like, I don't know. We got another 2 hours, I think, to go.
Absolutely.
This is a telethon here, not this is the kind of guy you want to talk to if you're getting in the market, right? He's the kind of guy that's going to straight shoot it. He's going to tell you what's going on. I've seen it. I've been on the phone with him. We have structured, mechanically put things together that probably most teams have not, right? We've brainstormed. If I got a problem, I tell him. If he's got a problem, he tells me. That's called teamwork. Teamwork is how you're going to get the deals to closing nowadays. If you don't have teamwork with your loan officer, or your loan officer doesn't like these loan officers, I don't like realtors. What do you mean you don't like realtors? What? You got to like them, and they got to like you.
Absolutely.
It's called a relationship. It's called a team, and that's the reason why the deals get to closing.
Absolutely. I don't know how quickly we're going to stop, but I want to tell people that you need to have an open line of communication with your lender, just like you do your realtor. People call me and say, well, what do you think about this with Alex? Or what do you think I should do about the loan? And they call Alex. I'm not a loan officer, right? And Alex answers the phone. He knows what he's doing. He's more than happy to help.
It's like they're afraid to talk to me.
I'm
not going to bite your head off.
Absolutely not.
My job is to tell you what to do.
And he's here to help, right? He's here to help. He's here to problem solve. And you need to have an open relationship with your lender, just like you do your realtor, and they can help you.
Sometimes the realtor takes on too much.
Absolutely.
And they shouldn't take on all that. If it's a lending question, push it to the loan officer.
Right. They're licensed.
That's why they get paid.
Right.
So, listen, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I mean, it was all that I expected plus some.
I appreciate it, brother.
I look forward to seeing you on Broad Street. Right,
looking forward to it.
Your marketing, because you'll probably be the only one that is marketing.
I hope so. We're gonna be sending a drone right down
Broad
Street, like the opening of the Eagles game.
I'm going to be on the back of it, flying down and having fun. But I appreciate you. Appreciate you for the last 15 plus years we've worked together. Great guy, and he'll be back. Don't worry. So have a great one. I'll see you on the next episode.